Hi guys, let's talk attachment. Specifically, attachment styles. I have prepared a whole script for this video, for the initial part of the video, so I'm going to be sticking to what I've written. So please bear with me for the first few minutes. As promised, I'm back with another video about the book Attached, which is written by Dr. Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. When I tell you this book has transformed me into a completely different person, personally and in the context of viewing my attachment styles with different people, I'm not kidding. The reason I chose this book is because it is filled with researched content, as in the authors of this book, one of them is a doctor. They have written this book based on different research papers. They've also spoken to various experts who have conducted these researches, and the results are also mentioned in the book. And it also contains stories of different people around the world, which are like real life incidents that have actually taken place. It's highly relatable, which makes it super important for each of us to know how our actions and the actions of those around us are so impactful in our day-to-day lives. Like whether you take it in the context of romantic relationships or if you just take it in general context. This is why this book is very important. I'll be uploading 4 different videos. The first one, aka this video, is one that will be specifically focused on what is attachment, why do we get attached, what's the science behind it, and why it is such a good thing in our lives, and it is so important and fundamental for us. The next 2 will be about the anxious attachment style and the avoidant attachment style. And the final video will highlight the secure attachment style and how each of us can strive to be more secure in the context of our romantic relationships or personally as individuals. For me right now, this book has personally really helped me identify which attachment style I belong to. And I can also spot attachment styles of different people. I mean, I don't like generalizing it and making it all about attachment, but this has majorly reduced overthinking for me. Like as a personal problem that I was facing, overthinking a lot on different issues, this book has really helped me combat with those issues. So let's dive right into it. Disclaimer: the points I'll be mentioning / stating are all taken from the book word to word, and they will be combined with my personal opinion, or you can say explanation, how I choose to explain the book in my own words. Again, I take no credit whatsoever in the creation of the content being spoken. So this is purely the content from the book. I'm not taking credit for any of it. Let's dive right into it. The first chapter that we'll be diving right into is chapter number 1, the dependency paradox, aka dependency is not a bad word. Speaking of page 21, this book states, attachment principles teach us that most people are only as needy as their unmet needs. When their emotional needs are met, and the earlier the better, they usually turn their attention outward. The more effectively dependent people are on one another, the more independent and daring they become. So what these lines are meant to state is that the more I know that I have a partner that I can depend on, that I can rely on, that I know is there to support me through thick and thin, the more independent I will become. And this essentially goes against the contradiction or the myth that you need to be self-sufficient, you need to be self-reliant, you need to be able to live your life all alone. How being alone is glorified. I would like to take the example of a person who has been alone their whole life and who has also managed to build relationships and be dependent on people outwardly. And a great example of this would be Sushmita Sen. Sushmita Sen chose not to get married, but she never chose to be completely independent. Like for example, you can see that she has children that she's adopted. She's also been in a relationship. What I'm trying to state is that the more happily I am dependent on someone in my life, the more surety I have that, okay, I have my family to fall back on, I have a safe base, the more daring I become, the more risk-taking I become. It's not necessary to be very hyper self-reliant. It's absolutely normal to want to depend on other people. That need that you have, it is very normal. Now I'll be stating a few lines from page number 12 of the book, which state that we've been bred to be dependent on a significant other. The need starts in the womb and ends when we die. What this means to state is that even before we are born, when we are in our mother's wombs, वो टाइम से हमारी डिपेंडेंसी की नीड स्टार्ट होती है. सो इट्स लिटरली एवोल्यूशनरी embedded in our DNA. So if you think that you're not as independent as other people, or if you're not self-reliant, do not ever think that, because evolutionary, scientifically, biologically, we've been literally bred to be dependent on a significant other. Bowlby, which is one of the researchers, proposed that throughout evolution, genetic selection favored people who became attached because it provided a survival advantage. In prehistoric times, people who relied only on themselves and had no one to protect them were more likely to end up as prey. Yeah, they were more likely to end up as shikar for the hunters, for the animals. More often than not, those who were there with somebody who deeply cared about them survived to pass on to their offspring the preference to form intimate bonds. This mechanism, called the attachment system, consists of emotions and behaviors that ensure that we remain safe and protected by staying close to our loved ones. So, as you might have heard stories of hunter-gatherer times and how they used to live in collected scenarios and in huts, वहाँ पे भी जब आप देखेंगे तो आप realize करेंगे कि कोई इकलौता बंदा जंगल में अकेला नहीं रहता था prehistoric time में. There was never a concept of just alone, nuclearity, कि like मैं अकेले रहूँगा पूरे दुनिया से. नो, विच इज वेरी एविडेंट. आप अकेले नहीं रहेंगे क्योंकि आप सर्वाइव करना चाहते हैं और बाहर जंगल में शिकार करने के लिए जानवर बैठा हुआ है, विच इज वॉट इज स्टेटेड इन द बुक. सो इट्स वेरी नॉर्मल to be dependent on your loved ones and to have that need on dependency on other people. In today's day and age, you might have heard these lines that I'll also be quoting from the book, from people around you. If you develop a strong dependency on your partner, you are deficient in some way and are advised to work on yourself to become more differentiated and develop a greater sense of self. The worst possible scenario is that you will end up needing your partner, which is equated with addiction to him or her, and addiction, we all know, is a dangerous prospect. Now, while the teachings of the codependency movement remain immensely helpful in dealing with family members who suffer from substance abuse, these kind of teachings that are given out by people, kind of teachings that you see on the internet, the self-reliance movement that has started on the internet in the 21st century, while it is super important to have this mechanism in your brain, if you're dealing with a family member who suffers from substance abuse or drugs or alcohol or smoking or something that is serious to the point of actually becoming abuse, they can be very misleading. ये जो teachings है, they can be very misleading and even damaging when applied indiscriminately to all relationships. So when you apply this teaching into your day-to-day connections with your family members, like your parents, or if you're a parent, with your children or with your spouse, it is very dangerous when you apply this type of teaching, because this is absolutely wrong. And now to finally conclude the dependency paradox chapter, what proved through evolution to have a strong survival advantage is a human couple becoming one physiological unit, which means that if she's reacting, then I'm reacting, or if he's upset, that also makes me unsettled. The logic of the dependency paradox is hard to follow at first. How can we act more independent by being thoroughly dependent on someone else? If you want to take the road to independence and happiness, find the right person to depend on and travel it down with that person. I think ये line बहुत ही ज़्यादा self-explanatory है and I don't need to dissect it. It is very basic. I've explained it in the previous parts of the video before. If you really want to become strongly independent and daring, you need to find the right person that you can depend on thoroughly and walk down that road with this person. Now this video nearly comes to an end because the second chapter of this video talks about what is my attachment style and what is my partner's attachment style. And that is something that I won't be able to discuss because the book has questionnaires that you can go through and analyze what your attachment style is and what your partner's attachment style may be. Because the questionnaire really narrows down all the specific small details जिससे आप समझ सकते हैं कि scores के according what can the attachment style be. So this is the end of part 1 of this video. Check out part 2. I'll be putting the links in the description. Part 2, 3 and 4. I'll be adding all of those. And yeah, that's about it. Let me know your views in the comments about this book. I am very excited to know what everybody around the world has to say about it. And yes, thank you for watching till the end. Bye bye. See you in part 2.